She's an upcycler and DIYer who creates unique furniture for her home. She provides tips and tricks to her many Instagram followers, as well as creating custom pieces for her customers. It's furniture aficionado Danielle Bayliss.
Thank you so much for joining us, Danny. Now, in a nutshell, can you tell everyone at home what you do, which is mostly on Instagram, I believe, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I work from home and I upcycle vintage and old furniture, trying to create something new that someone will want in their own home again.
Well, I was very impressed to see your back catalogue of pieces. You source like vintage and unique pieces. What is your process for finding furniture?
I'm constantly on Facebook Marketplace. I tend to stick with the linen cabinets and cocktail cabinets and dressing tables and sideboards. I then also occasionally dabble into the eBays and Gumtrees. I've also find the local charity shops and the recycling centres attached to the local tips are absolutely great, because they are genuine pieces that were being thrown away, that weren't loved anymore, that do still have life left in them. They are beautiful pieces of furniture and they're still properly built, whereas modern furniture isn't built that way anymore.
No, it's not built to last.
No, it
a lot
really
of it is
isn't.
chipboard. I completely get where you're coming from. How do you overcome your failures? You might have a set idea of what you're going to do to something, but sometimes you just had to go with the furniture because it had bleed through, it had issues. You're painting something, the paint's coming off, or you're just pulling your hair out. How do you overcome things like that?
Knowing that nothing you do, even if it goes wrong and it is awful and the paint's coming off and it's peeling, well, you've not ruined it. Yes, you might need to take a step away and go and have a glass of wine and have a little cry about it, but it can all be undone.
Now, when it comes to commission pieces, I can imagine that being quite a scary thing if somebody's asked you to do. Have you ever faced anything like that?
Yeah, I think the benefit of commission pieces is you can almost regulate your salary a little bit. You know what's coming in each month. That's obviously, especially at the moment with the cost of living, it is a nicety. I'm the same as you, though. I find it really stressful, especially if someone goes, oh, this is a family heirloom and I want you to paint it. And you're like, oh my God, the pressure to get it right. You're like, oh no. I've got one coming up actually, and I've done a piece for her before, and it's this beautiful console table, and it's got this stunning carved detail. But there is a point where they're your customers, they trust you to do something, and I say, you're not going to ruin it. Ultimately, if you have to take it all back off and start again, I always find I'm best to break a project down, take it in little steps, and then you know if it's going wrong early on, rather than getting to the end and going, damn it.
Yeah. As you've been growing, and obviously you sell pieces on your shop and you've got an Etsy store as well, while you've been growing, have you found that's had a huge knock-on effect selling pieces in your stores as well?
It's had more of an effect on the commissions that I have come in. People will contact me more for commissions. I think it's given people a bit more. I know when I go onto Etsy, I'll then always go and Google someone as well to see where they are. I think it's given people who buy from other places, other platforms, that little bit more confidence.
So talk us through your lead time from start to finish.
Generally, most pieces I try and do within a week or 2 weeks. If I've got multiple pieces on the go, it would probably be more 2 weeks. Some pieces, I recently did a chair that was a bentwood chair that only took probably 3 or 4 days to do. I have then done a piano bar that was for ourselves that took 4 years to do because it was moved to the back of the garage and then wasn't touched.
We've all got those.
Yeah, it was only because we went into lockdown and I ran out of other projects that it finally got finished. So it really can vary depending on the piece and then what obstacles it throws up for you.
How do you know how to charge for your pieces with how much time you've spent on them?
I think that's something that has built up over the 9 to 10 years I've been doing this. I think the first piece of furniture I sold was a bookcase that I painted white, like we said, and I think I sold it for like £20. I now generally stick to very similar pieces. They're cocktail cabinets, dressing tables and sideboards. And those prices that I'm charging now have built up over that time. They reflect everything that I've learned in that decade, the trials and errors, the mistakes that I've made to make sure that I know what I'm doing now, that I know that paint finish will last because it won't chip. I've done the right prep, I've got the right paint and I've got the right finish on it. The prices reflect the experience that's gone into it and all those mistakes that have been made. And that is how people learn, by making those mistakes.
Thanks so much for joining us, Danny. If you want to see more from Danny, then search Rediscovered by Danielle on Instagram, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.